Tucked in the hills of northeast Pennsylvania lies a prison that is among the most dangerous in the country and has held some of the most fearsome men in America, including foreign terrorists and organized crime figures. This is one of the lesser-known penitentiaries operated by the Federal Bureau of Prisons, a division of the U.S. Department of Justice, but it still poses a large risk to both inmates and staff alike. Next on Chasing Crime, we'll be profiling the United States Penitentiary, Canaan. We'll explore some of the details of the facility and move on to some of the violent incidents that have occurred at this prison before finishing with some notable inmates being housed here. Let's get into it. The prison is named not after the town where it is located, but rather the township. The facility is located in Waymart, Pennsylvania. Although in Pennsylvania, towns are referred to as boroughs, Waymart is small, with just over 1,000 residents. The area is noted for its safety and cost of living, but lacks jobs and a way to make a living. The area is characterized as having warm and wet summers with freezing and snowy winters. The Pennsylvania Department of Corrections operates a nearby prison, SCI Waymart, which houses over 1,000 offenders. In the early 2000s, the federal government would embark on a mission to replace many of the aging high-security prisons across the country. USP Canaan would be included in this construction mission. It shares the same design as many other high-security institutions, such as USP Terre Haute, USP Atwater, and USP Tucson. Construction would be completed and the prison would open for business on March 29, 2005. It sits on 445 acres and would cost taxpayers across the country $141 million. The average daily population of high-security inmates in 2021 was 1,219, although it has a maximum capacity of 1,630. On average, an inmate at this facility would be here from 60 to 119 months, or 5 to 10 years. If you are an inmate here, you better get settled in because you aren't going anywhere fast. The prison features 6 distinct V-shaped housing units, each split into 2, giving the facility 12 general population units. There is an additional specialized housing unit that can house up to 230 inmates with, for example, disciplinary issues. An ever-present tower looming in the middle of the prison has a full 360-degree view of the facility. The cells are a mere 78 square feet that houses 2 incarcerated men. Surrounding the facility is a double razor wire fence to prevent any escapes. There is also an additional 6 towers along the fence line. The prison uses cameras throughout the facility, with 474 in place, watching over the inmates' every move. Now that we have an understanding of the facility, let's move on to some of the violent incidents that have occurred here. Over the last several years, violence at this prison is a regular occurrence. Just take a look at the indictments coming out of the prison. Assaults and stabbings are a part of life at USP Canaan. Andrew Daniels stabbed his victim 8 times in his upper chest and abdomen in 2020. Earlier in 2021, Luis Barrero sliced another inmate with a contraband razor. In 2018, Brandon Shields assaulted another inmate with a lock and a piece of clothing, probably a sock. One of the more recent murders at the facility would occur on November 28, 2021. Inmate Dominique Spence was murdered. It was found that he sustained multiple sharp force injuries. Other notable murders occurred at the prison in 2010 and 2013. An associate of the Gambino crime family was murdered at USP Canaan on April 25, 2010. Alan Hurley stabbed Joseph O'Kane 92 times. Hurley is now being housed in the most restrictive prison in the federal system, ADX Florence. In 2013, a correctional officer at the prison would be brutally murdered. On Monday, February 25th, Eric Williams was working one of the housing units at the prison. The attack was absolutely ruthless. Williams would be stabbed with a shank more than 200 times by inmate Jesse Conwee. Conwee attacked Williams just before lockdown at 10 p.m. He kicked him down the unit stairs and continued his assault with 2 shanks. It would take 10 minutes for other staff to respond. One inmate was asked by the news why he didn't intervene. He said, "If I ran to help him, the feds wouldn't have taken 1 minute off my sentence." Conway would receive a life sentence, which some said was too light, since he was already never going to be released from prison due to a prior murder conviction. Eric's Law has been introduced to the US Senate. The bill would allow prosecutors to retry the sentencing decision of the jury in capital offense cases if a unanimous decision is not reached, such as in this case. In the murder trial of Jesse Conway, one juror out of 12 decided against the penalty, forcing a life sentence. A man who attempted to overthrow the government of Cambodia is currently serving a life sentence at USP Canaan. Chun Yasit, aka the Cambodian Moses, was convicted of leading a rebel group armed with rockets and grenades against the Cambodian government, a US ally. Several people were killed in the attack. Yasit is a US citizen and was arrested in the US following the attack. Prosecutors said he planned the attack from Los Angeles. Another man convicted of participating in crimes outside of the US, Alexander Cody, better known as Jihadi George, is serving a life sentence at the prison. Cody was a member of ISIS, and more specifically, the Jihadi Beatles. He was one of 4 English-speaking representatives of the group who recorded their crimes and posted it on social media. He was arrested in Syria in 2018 and transferred to the US for trial. Cody pled guilty and was sentenced to life. An underboss of the Lucchese crime family is also being housed at USP Canaan. Stephen Crea, who rose to underboss of the family, will likely die at this prison. In true mob fashion, he participated in labor racketeering and other frauds. He made millions by siphoning money off the top of union contracts. Eventually, in 2019, he was indicted on murder and racketeering charges. He was convicted and sentenced to life in prison.
At 11, multiple agencies trying to figure out how inmates at this federal prison escaped and then returned without being noticed. Investigators say the prisoners would break out just to bring contraband back in. It happened at the federal prison in southeast Atlanta on McDonough Boulevard. Channel 2's Nefertiti Jacquez there live tonight. Neighbors were shocked to learn what was been happening.
Justin, neighbors were absolutely floored after they learned that the feds were saying that these escapees were leaving the prison just to collect things like cell phones, cigarettes, and things like liquor and beer just to sell to other inmates. Inmates have been using this now covered up hole in the fence to escape the U.S. penitentiary and smuggle in contraband to sell to other inmates. The details of how this was uncovered is outlined in this federal complaint we've obtained.
I already feel unsafe.
Ebony Ricks lives in an apartment complex already known for its high crime, and it sits right across the street from the prison along McDonough Boulevard.
I kind of don't know how we going to be safe or how I'm going to try to keep us safe.
The mother of 3 has reason to feel unsafe. The FBI says the inmates were allegedly escaping from the prison grounds, but returning with duffel bags full of liquor, cigarettes, and even objects that could be used as potential weapons. The documents also state that the inmates would jump into cars already waiting for them in Newtown Circle.
It's just crazy to me.
Sources close to this case tell us the feds zeroed in on these escapees after an Atlanta police officer spotted 4 men dressed in all gray wearing black ski masks and gloves near the perimeter of the prison on January 29th of 2013 at 12:53 a.m. The officer, we're told, gave chase. 3 of the men scaled the fence, which had no barbed wire, and the 4th guy jumped into a car and took off. Then last month, officials say APD put up a camera to monitor the grounds before handing the video over to the feds. Last Friday, they caught yet another inmate trying to slither out of the prison. The following day, the federal complaint was filed.
I think they do need to step it up, and I think they owe us an explanation as far as to how they're escaping.
And we reached out to the FBI, but they declined comment, saying this is still under investigation.
Hello, y'all. Welcome to Bam Bam Raw TV. I'm Bam Bam, aka the 411 Giant. Hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you know when my next video coming up. I'm here keeping it real for y'all. On this episode right now, people, I'm a response. I will react and respond to a video when you ask me to. Enough people ask me. Now, this one is why I like the USPs and Supermax better. I never thought I said that, but maybe the question was, why do I prefer them against FCIs. No, it's okay. So now you complicate things because we goes in the scenario. Let me say this first. All respect to the men that were in FCIs. Most of my co-defendants was in there. The level that the people put you on through your record decide where you go. You could be the most dangerous dude out there in the world. And if they have no substantial stuff on that and they have not included that in indictment, you end up at FCI. So, but if you're a dude who got a lot of violence, a lot of stuff like me, there was 5 murders in the case, it was all this, my leadership, my vehicle, all this. So when you got all this, you go into the USP. Ain't no ifs, buts about it. I never seen the FCI in my life. Not while I was in the federal penitentiary. I did, I was passing by one. But why that I think that people say that I prefer not only USPs, I prefer Supermax. One, because of the level of people that you're dealing with. You have less opportunity. We dance now. We have dance and we get into it there. We dance and there's a body here, there's a body there. There's a killing here, there's a stabbing there. So we do dance. But the dance is always coordinated. Well, it just got too far out of line. It just got to happen. A sucker done got in the way. It got to happen. That's the dance we have. I may say this here, I've never been to one. In FCIs, you got a lot of people that borderline. You got straight soldiers in there, and you got suckers and rats, and all these people get together. Suckers and rats, and these people get together. Suckers do a lot of sucker stuff, and they get people caught up. What I like about the USPs, before I started going to the Supermax, was your population. I'm gonna say your ratio. If I'm in a FCI in the federal system, if it's 1,100 dudes on a yard, 400 to 500 may be solid. You go to USP, if there's 1,100 people on a yard, probably 900 to 1,000 gonna be solid. Because it's death to you if you come on that compound and somebody can prove that you're not solid. In the FCI, why would somebody kill somebody for not being right when they ain't got 10 years to do? An individual who got 10 years and doing 10 years in the FCI, 20 years. 20 years in the Fed, what do you do? 17, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever. You got an out date. So you can't just kill a dude like that. Or you can't just punish him or whatever had to be done. You cannot take it because a punishment turns into a killing. So I understand that. So that make dudes looser. You got dudes a whole lot looser and they do a lot of looser stuff. And therefore, you got a lot of chaos there. A lot of chaos because you got suckers who being bigger than who they supposed to be. And you got men who do not have they do not want the risk. They do not have the benefits of risk. Why? Okay, I go home in 5 years. Why would I risk checking this punk and this dude and stabbing him up and then catch 10 more years? So it was. So it's not plausible. But in USP, all of us got 30 or more. Most of us. I apologize. Most of us got 30 or more. So that means 30 years of life sentence. Most of us got locked up at 29 and up. We ain't got nothing to lose. So there's people step lighter, very much lighter when they're in the USP. You got dudes who make all kind of clown noise in the FCI. When they come to that USP, they know they got 10 dudes waiting to kill them as soon as they get out of line. And that's why they had to regulate their situation. They come there. And so therefore I like that, because when you go to FCI, people like, oh, everybody, oh, we clown out. I ain't gonna say nothing. Oh, that's just what they do. They're clown. It's just what I ain't trying to get shipped. FCI people don't want to be shipped from where they at, because their benefits and the security level is more lax. So they're not just gonna reach out there and slap the shit out of somebody or do something to them. What I'm telling you is, in the USP, everybody kept in order. I remember USP Florence. Everybody had 2 weeks to come up with PSI. And that was a law. I don't care who your car is, who you roll with. If you ain't have your PSI in 2 weeks, they're going to run your ass up top. If you got it in 2 weeks and your people find out that you're a rat, you're going to get stabbed up. I seen 12 people get killed based on that same thing. So many people got killed down there in USP Florence that they stopped you from having access to your PSI so that you couldn't show nobody. So they gave alleviation on the rest. Say, hey man, I can't get my PSI, so how can I show it? But they came up a way around that one. So it became mandatory. So all I'm saying again is, the reason I like the USP, the reason I like Supermax, and that's another level. That's when I go to the Supermax aspect of it. That's when I was up there. Wayne Perry, Larry Hoover, like Silverstein and some of the other Aryan brothers. I hear some of the stuff they saying out there, and I give them their props. I give them their props, and I give everybody their props. Cause you know why I can give everybody their props? Because I ain't gonna put nobody above me. Somebody above me is God. I ain't gonna tell you, ain't nobody did nothing. I ain't gonna tell you. I give DC their props. I give their brother their props. If I get into it, they don't want them. They gonna give me my props. Because I'm gonna put it down. So when you have no fear, no individual, you can tell the truth. Hit that like button, subscribe, hit that bell icon, maybe my next video come out. I can't get into that because I'm going into all that later. Peace.
I've seen guards open doors for you to get.
Right.
Yeah. They're corrupt. In that way, yes. A guard won't kill you. I saw a guard get on B block.
What happened there?
He took one of the prisoner's wives, followed her, talking to her, and then she ended up going with him. Wow. And this guy actually had the balls to come and walk the yard. And the person he took, his girl, he killed him like 30 times and killed him right on the yard. Once he was on the ground, he had a vest on, but he ran up on him and just started sticking him like in the neck. And then when he fell to the ground, he lifted up the vest and just finished him. We had a soccer game where my mother was there present on a visit day. Someone got there playing soccer. They got caught an elbow. The other kid threw another elbow. They stood up like they were going to fight. One pulled out a shank. The other one pulled out a real steak knife. But the one with the shank that was like a ice pick stuck him first right in the heart. The kid just dropped dead. Yeah, in front of visits, in front of everybody. Yeah. Insane. Yeah. So there's really no respect for life.
Animals down there.
Not far from the Mexico border lies a high security prison that holds some of the most dangerous people in the country. In this barren area of southern Arizona sits USP Tucson. What do you know about this federal prison and the dangerous people it holds? Let's take a look. Located 10 miles south of Tucson, a fairly large city with a population of over 500,000, the city was settled by the Spanish in 1775. It was built on a land feature called an alluvial plain, which is a large flat landform created by the deposit of sediment by ancient rivers. Planning for a new high-security prison began in 2001, and construction would be completed in 2005 at a cost of $100 million. The property expands over 640 acres. USP Tucson and USP Terre Haute have the same design, with 6 housing units holding approximately 125 inmates per unit. There is also a nearby satellite prison camp for minimum security prisons that help provide labor for day-to-day operations. That facility holds 102 inmates, while the high security facility holds 1,260. The prison officially opened on February 5, 2007. There was a shortage of prison officers across the country, worsening the situation with its opening. Locals also complained that the prison added to the already bad traffic in the area. USP Tucson is one of the few federal facilities that offers sex offender management. Many of the high-level sex offenders are sent to this facility, with a much larger proportion than other prisons. The program helps to rehabilitate offenders convicted of sex crimes by helping them to manage their behaviors. One of the men accused of a heinous sex crime is Keith Rainier, leader of the cult NXIVM. Rainier was convicted of numerous crimes, including racketeering, human trafficking, sex offenses, and fraud. In 2019, he was found guilty in all counts and sentenced to 120 years in prison. While at USP Tucson, Rainier has claimed that he has been assaulted by other inmates and denied access to medical care. The attacker, Maurice Withers, assaulted Rainier in the mess hall of the facility. Withers is serving an 18-year sentence for human trafficking. USP Tucson has housed several other notable inmates in the past. Ross Ulbricht, the founder of the Silk Road, a dark website used to anonymously sell and buy drugs, is housed at the facility. He is serving 2 life sentences due to convictions for drug distribution and other financial crimes. All of Ulbricht's appeals have been denied, and it looks like he will never be leaving this facility. Another notable inmate was Duke Cunningham. He was a former congressman convicted of accepting bribes for federal contracts. While at the prison, Cunningham reportedly worked with other inmates to help them obtain their GED. He received a conditional pardon by President Trump in 2021. In the last 2 years, the local news has reported 2 murders at the facility. In November 2021, Stephen Keating was killed at the facility. He had been incarcerated at the facility since 2013. Keating was serving an 110-year sentence for sex offenses involving children. ICE had investigated Keating after receiving a tip from Danish police. The other death, Austin Carlin, was pronounced dead on April 16, 2022. Carlin was serving a 262-month sentence for human trafficking. The case made national news after Carlin was arrested for abducting a child from her home. It became federal when he took her across state lines. In 2009, 2 large fights took place at the facility, causing it to go on lockdown. One inmate was stabbed using a shank. 3 offenders were transported to a local hospital. Following the incident, one inmate, Joseph Nichols, was sentenced to 33 months for possessing a concealed plastic shank. He made the weapon out of a plastic chair. Nichols is currently housed at FCI Victorville. Hopefully now you know a bit more about USP Tucson. This facility may not get as much attention as other high security facilities, but it still holds some of the most dangerous people in the country.